Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper.
How's everything going, Garfield?
Oh, man, it's going.
I know. Just goes, right? It goes. Yep. And then guess what?
Yep.
There's another week coming, right?
Yep. It's another week of work.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, last week we did layoff procedures. I just wanted to add something to that. All these classifications can bump down to part-time. And again, it's their right. No problem there.
Yep.
Just understand that every time this happens, that's two part-timers that possibly could be completely laid off, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not to get people not to do it. I just want you to understand, there are people who are completely being laid off because, part-timers because of this.
Yeah.
And, people still do what you have to do. That's your right in the contract, but just, know full well that, it's, these part-timers take a hit. And, we just wanted to mention that, it's important. I mean, everyone matters, right? So we just want to let everyone know what happens to those part-timers.
I mean, we're all part of a team here. We need part-timers here to load the trucks and, unload the trucks and, unload the feeders and things like that. It's all part of it. So, it sucks to lose anybody, and hopefully they'll be able to stick around long enough to come back when the layoffs kind of die off later in the year. But
yeah, we definitely, we want everybody working.
Yeah.
And we know the company, what they're doing right now, and it's just, I believe it's overkill just to save a dime.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Very important. So I wanted to go on to one or two other things, just of importance. I mean, there are a lot of things going on, but we still got to talk about everything. And just want to let like part-timers know that there's an employee transfer and only part-timers can do it. But, and it's usually been in past years for educational purposes. But they've expanded that under the new contract, and it doesn't have to be, for just for educational purposes. I mean, you just have to put in a written request, and provided the facilities in question are more than 50 miles apart, the transfer shall be allowed, subject to a bunch of things. And I'm just going to go and, just want to read them slowly. Part-time opening exists in the new building. They must obtain seniority and been employed with the employer for 1 year. Job classification seniority shall be entailed. So you go to the new building, you're not in the order of seniority that you were. Essentially, you go to the bottom.
Yeah,
okay?
You go to the bottom.
You have your years for vacations, yes. But in terms of, other things, you go to the end. And that's just what comes along with it. So, and, no one else is allowed to do transfer, just part-timers. So, there's obviously, stipulations, and then it talks about moving expenses and whatnot, but it's just important because things happen and you want to move. And it's in past years, it's been restricted to educational purposes. In the new contract, it's not just for educational purposes. That's always an option. And, just wanted to bring it up. I mean, it's important. It's not, it's not at the top of the list by any means, but it's something that, it's information that people, part-timers need to know. So
while we're on the topic,
with that being,
while we're on the topic, Jeff,
we're staying here.
There was a big push for them to include some sort of a full-time transfer language in this contract. It obviously didn't go. Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's something that probably should have taken more consideration. I don't know how much consideration. Do I believe there was much? No. And I know, I know that, I came from New York. I had to start all over.
Yeah.
And, that's fine. If we would have gotten in the contract and they were able to do it, I wouldn't be mad. It is what it is, but that didn't happen. And I mean, it's all about the local unions, why they say, you can't just, I'm like, yeah, that was one of the things, that was when I came down here. But I think that if things happen and things happen in people's lives and they need to do a transfer, it's a hardship.
Yeah.
I think it's something that should have been taken into consideration. They allow that in management. Well, they used to, at least, where they were allowed to transfer if their spouse or whatnot. But, things happen in life. And I that's obviously something that would have helped in the contract.
Yeah.
You agree?
I would have very much liked to have seen some sort of a hardship language about that for, whether it be family or, maybe you have a sick parent or something you need to move back and help take care of, or, your wife gets another job and, something like that. I'll move across the country. Like, it kind of sucks to be like nailed down in like one area for 30 years. I mean, it's for some people, it's not for others. But I'm with you. I wish it had gotten a little bit more consideration.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even hear talk of it. I didn't hear that anyone even talked about it.
Yeah.
So and the reason for this is life happens, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We move forward. What do you want to talk about next, Garfield? Whatever you want.
Man, I always get questions about the funeral leave. Like, what can we do? What can't we do? Do we need to bring in a death certificate? Do we need to, who qualifies for this? Who qualifies for that? The important part of it is that members of your employee's family, which is spouse, child, stepchild, grandchild, father, mother, brother, sister, grandparents, mother-in-law, and father-in-law, and step-parents all qualify for the full funeral leave, which is up to 4 days at 8 hours pay.
Yes. Yeah. And it's exactly. And it's, the traveling days, they say all that in there, and it's important. I mean, people want to know. I had it a couple of weeks ago. Someone asked me and they want to know to make sure they're getting paid, right? The bills still keep coming, right?
Yeah.
And it's important. And also, an employee who attends the funeral or bereavement, right, is guaranteed it's just a minimum of 2 days off.
Yes.
Okay. There's some other, just want to read some more language. So just so everyone gets it, employees shall be allowed 1 day off to attend the funeral or bereavement, right, of a sister-in-law, spouse, grandparent, or brother-in-law. Reimbursement for this day shall be the same as, provided below. And you don't want to have to worry about if you're going to get paid. We have this in the contract.
Yeah.
I know you got asked a lot. You said you even said it, but I mean, it's a bunch of times, and people want to know they're getting paid.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's something that people don't ever think about until they need it, and it's an unfortunate time when they do need it. And like, it's a good question. It's a good answer for like as a steward to just have in your head, because that's one of those things that somebody's going to come up to you and be like, "Hey, my grandparents died. Do I get funeral leave? Like, what is it?" That's something that you should have at the ready, because it's going to be something that they're going to want to know like immediately, and they're going to have a lot of other things on their mind. And sure, they could go look it up themselves, but this is a simple question that I like to be sure and keep in the back of my head when that kind of stuff comes up.
It's important. And remember, it's Article 29, Section 2 is funeral leave.
Yeah.
Okay. Article 29, Section 2. We discussed that, and we just might not be at the top of the list, but if you think about it, like with the funeral leave, at that time when they're going through it and a family member's just passed away, it's one less stress they have to worry about knowing this information.
Yeah.
So,
there's a few, there's a little bit of language in there. I would have loved to have seen some language added for like aunts and uncles, things like that. People are close to their family, honestly, and I think the allowance for brother-in-law and mother-in-law and stuff like that, or brother-in-law, sister-in-law, that kind of stuff, that only allows for 1 day, but it's that's your significant other's family. I think allowing for only 1 day of that's kind of shitty, personally.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things I would like to see increase in like a future contract.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, every article, every section, every subsection, everything's important. And, when you go through these contracts, every 5 years, you want to remember, okay, wish this was in there, wish that was in there. And you want to, propose those things. Because, hey, look, I went through it. And it usually happens where, someone goes through something and it wasn't in the contract, and wow, and it hits them personally. So that's where, hey, listen, I want to bring this up, and, maybe we have this in a future contract.
And
so
another
again,
thing,
like I said,
another thing I'd like to point out, I know some management like to be like hard nosed about this, like want to see an obituary or something ridiculous. I've dealt with grandparents, mother, and some people in my family have died, and never once have I had a member of management ask me for proof. And honestly, I don't really think they should. There's nothing in the contract that says that they require proof. So if you come up to a manager and say, "Hey, I just had my parent die, or my sister die, or my child die, or something of that to that effect," and the first thing they do is ask you to show them proof, I want you to tell them,
Wow.
Garfield Hooper told you to go f yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not so many words, but yes, basically we want to get that across.
Yeah.
It's not right. I mean, that's someone in management just not,
Yeah.
thinking
Not being
about
a
the
human
person,
being.
someone
Yeah.
just someone just died. So, it's we don't encourage you to say exactly that, but how you say it, basically you're saying that, right?
Yes.
In a better way.
And under no in certain terms, tell your manager to go fuck themselves. But
No.
please
No.
tell them that you
No.
don't. They don't require. You don't require
Yeah.
proof, and that it was a really insensitive thing to ask for.
Absolutely. But it's I see you fired up, Garfield. We're always fired up. We just have it
Always.
controlled. Sometimes we come out with but the point is, if they're asking that, that's a load of it's not right. But all right, for myself and Garfield, once again, we appreciate everyone who listens to these podcasts. We hope it helps navigate the contract. All right, everyone, have a good night. Thanks. Bye.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.